Cheerios taste like filet mignon compared to Kix.
Travel back in time to the 80s, reliving the music.
Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Chung tonight.
The movies.
Yes! 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 Oh! Oh! Oh!
I'll have what she's having.
And the parties.
No one in my family ever drinks.
That's great. You probably never run out of ice your whole life.
Because just like you, we're stuck in the 80s.
Sure, it's not 1985 right now, but who knows what tomorrow will bring.
Hey, welcome to Stuck in the 80s. It's your host, Steve Spears.
And B-Rad.
And today we review listener picks for our summer playlist.
That's kid stuff.
Kid stuff? But how about the tunes? I want you to want me. The Dream Police. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Don't forget, we are a member of the CLNS Podcast Network now. You can find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media mobile app. If I just need to say that like 12 more times, Brad, and I'll have it down.
I think you can also find our URL scrawled on the men's room in Times Square.
Just the Bitly version, though. Because otherwise, have you seen our URL now? It's really long.
They're quite impressive. Bordering on spectacular.
There's all this tracking codes and stuff, and all this stuff that people are really fascinated by, but I think they'd really rather let's talk about the show. So a couple weeks ago, we did a Brad and I and Jen with one N. We had this idea to kind of replicate or clone, as you would say, our podcast from maybe 10 years ago, where we talked about great songs that remind us of the summer in the 80s. And we asked you to submit some of your ideas for what are your favorite songs that remind you of the summer. And it's always like a hit and miss kind of thing. Sometimes we ask you guys for stuff and you email in like crazy, and then other times it's like, crickets.
Yeah.
But this time we actually got a lot of emails, and so
we did. We got some great suggestions.
Right. So Brad went through it and combed through the initial batch. I went through. I found a couple others that people had just sent to me and not to Brad. And so we picked 5 songs. Some of them have stories behind them. Some of them do not. Some of these are obscure. Some are not. We have 3 slightly less obvious songs, and then two real no-brainers.
Yeah.
So,
which is, and it makes for it's like a good soup. It's a good blend of spices and stuff. The playlist, I'm really glad people send in suggestions, because we started with 6 songs, which is about enough for you to drive to the grocery store and back. So now we've got a nice healthy list that you can put on shuffle and kind of enjoy while you do your stuff.
Yeah. So let's get started. Here's a pick from Dave Augie August, The Itch by Kix. Dave sent us a note. Brad, why don't you read it?
Oh, sure. Dave writes, growing up in Baltimore in the 80s, it was all about the trips down the ocean to Ocean City, Maryland. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I don't try and do accents because I can't. And in Baltimore, the Music Royal Family is a band called Kix. These guys played ocean venues continually. You'd be wearing your black and rainbow OP swim trunks and sneak into a beach bar to hear them. Every boombox not owned by a Madonna girl would have a Kix cassette nearby. So, for my deep cut summer song, it is The Itch by Kix.
I like this song.
I do too. It's catchy as hell.
I know Kix, but I was never like a huge fan or anything. But I love his little slam on Madonna. I'll take that any day.
Yeah, you will. That's just pandering to you. And as we've said many times, we love it. I think this is great. It's just a straight ahead rocker. I don't know if they get more glammy later, but they were not really on my radar at the time, but I really like this song.
This song is actually a deep cut from, I guess, their 1981 self-titled debut album.
Yeah, I think they sold it on the cereal aisle, right?
Yeah, there was a cereal named Kix, and I hated it.
I know, it's good. I really liked it.
Really? It tasted like nothing.
Well, that's the kind of cereal my mom would buy us. It was either that or like Cheerios.
Cheerios taste like filet mignon compared to Kix. Which in itself is kind of a weird analogy.
What are you having for breakfast, Mr. Spears? Yes. Oh, I'm having the filet mignon of cereals. Cheerios.
You were having the Kmart of cereals.
Oh, man, I was just happy to have some cereal. I love cereal.
Who did that? Someone did that the other day when they said, so it's such and such as the Kmart of... Oh, they said that John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band is the Kmart version of Bruce Springsteen. Someone said that after I posted that montage from Rocky IV, and I thought that was brilliant.
That's really funny.
It is, but yeah, I like this song. I'm kind of envious of people who grew up in the Northeast. You know, they definitely have better stories, and they had more entertainment options than we had down here. You know, we would just chase snakes around in drainage sewage ducts and stuff.
Go gator fishing.
Yeah, throw
the tennis ball.
Tell your story. Tell your story about that.
Oh, so I met somebody this week, one of my wife's coworkers, who's grew up in small town in Florida, and was talking about how you could catch gators with a tennis ball, and I thought she was making it up. I'm like, there's no way. She's like, no, yeah, you tie it on the end of a fishing rod, and you throw it out there, and gators will hit anything that's floating, basically. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I asked Steve about it, and he's like, oh, yeah, we used to do that.
I mean, when you're a kid, you know, like especially the early part of the 80s, I mean, we used to...
let me play with apex predators. This seems like a good idea.
Yeah. You didn't have any fear. I think the only thing I was ever really afraid of were water moccasins.
Sure, yeah.
Because those things, you know, you get a hold of one of those, and it's pretty much game over, man.
Doctor says you're going to die.
Yeah. But for some reason, gators or any of those things never really bugged me all that much. Now, as I'm a grown adult, they scare the hell out of me. But I won't get into fresh water in Florida, period. So, but anyway.
Me either.
What this has to do with Kix, I do not know. Other than
Me either. Let's move on.
Number 2 on our list. The list as the show spirals into decline within the first 10 minutes. One of the more obvious picks, but still a great one. And I think I'd really be hard-pressed to find anyone who doesn't associate this with summer. This is Don Henley, the Boys of Summer.
Never will forget those nights. I wonder if it was a dream. Remember how you made me crazy? Remember how I made you scream? Now I don't understand what happened to our love. But babe, I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna show you what I'm made of. I can see you. Your brown skin shining in the sun. I see you walking real slow, smiling at everyone. I can tell you my love for you will still be strong after the boys of summer have gone.
So, Brad, who suggested this song?
So this was sent in by Eric, the 16-bit kid Berube, and he sent us a little note along with it. He says, as you guys know, I'm from St. Thomas, Ontario, Canada. What you don't know is 15 minutes away from my town, there's a small beach community by the name of Port Stanley, Ontario, named after Edward Smith Stanley, the 14th Earl of Derby. He was a hockey enthusiast. Really. He also is the donor of the first Stanley Cup in 1893. How fitting for Canada. Anyway, the beach community was our summer heaven. On hot summer weekend nights, you could typically find us at Pierside, the local watering hole and hangout for us young'uns. On Friday nights, I drive around gathering all my friends to take them down to the beach. I'm always the designated driver since I don't drink. But after a long night of dancing and carrying on with my friends, I drag the last of the hooligans out of the bar and back into my car, and we set out back home. The last song of the night is always Don Henley's Boys of Summer. Some don't like it, but it's my car, and it's a free ride, so tough cookies. I always feel good about making sure all my people are home safe and sound after the late-night snack stop at McDonald's, and we can rinse and repeat the process next weekend.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's a great memory.
That is a good memory. So vivid. Could use your snack stop right now at McDonald's.
Snack stop.
I saw Don Henley, in the 90s, mid-90s. He came through St. Petersburg. It was the 10th anniversary of some radio station, And
okay.
So
they
all the
playing
tickets.
the concert.
Yeah, so it was like, and so all the tickets were $10. So you could basically see Don Henley for $10.
Can't say no to that.
They packed a huge crowd, and this is right on the heels of this album coming out. So I mean, it was the album of the summer, or whatever. It must have been summer because the rest of the story will give it away. They packed us all into what would later become the Tropicana Field, the home of the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, yeah.
But at that time, we didn't have a baseball team yet, so they basically just used it for tractor shows and concerts and stuff like that. Arena football.
Okay.
Stuff like that. So a roommate and I headed out to the show, and it was one of those epic Florida rainstorm kind of days where it just comes down like buckets, and the streets flood in St. Petersburg.
Was it pelting the women and children?
Yes. So we were in downtown St. Pete. The stadium was probably about 4 miles away, and we drove down the street. The street was flooded. The car hits the water, dies on us right then and there. So I think we'd had a couple to drink at this point, probably more than a couple. And so we got out and we're like, it's only like X number of blocks to the stadium. So we walked, and it probably took us 2 hours to get there. Through the driving rainstorm, through like some of the worst neighborhoods in St. Petersburg. We walked all the way to see Don Henley play that night. And then I know we had to get a cab to take us back to our apartment back in Tampa the next day, and call AAA the next morning to get it. But
so that $10 ticket cost you a little bit.
Yeah, it cost us a lot. But Henley was at the height of his game back then, and that was the only time I've ever had to see him live. He doesn't tour all that much, or at least not down here.
I've never seen him. I like the song. It reminds me of a college girlfriend that we would never see each other during the summer, so we would always kind of drift apart.
Was it how long did you date this girl?
Most of college.
Oh, wait a minute.
I know these stories.
Yeah, this is the one you don't like to talk about.
There's just nothing good to talk about there. It's like two people being bad to each other.
I know, but for so long.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it
doesn't make a lot of sense to me now.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me at all, because you're not that kind of guy.
To date people for a long time?
Well, to like be in a bad relationship for that long.
Well, but you're young. You don't know what good, bad, whatever is. I mean, like on the surface of it, I thought my parents had a great relationship, but in reality, they were like a year and a half away from a divorce. So, you just don't. I don't know. I chalk it up to my youthfulness and inability to kind of take charge of my own life a little bit.
Are you going to lay in bed tonight and slowly sing the words of the song as you gently fade to black?
No, I'm happy to say that I've moved on from College Brad. College Brad's in my rearview mirror, just like that guy with the Deadhead sticker on the Cadillac.
Oh man, too deep.
Don't look back, Steve. You can never look back. Actually, that's all we do on this show. Don't do that.
It's all we do on the show. If you tell me I can't do that, then I really will fade to black.
Yeah. This show is over. Well, we made it 409 episodes. It's nice talking to you guys. See you next time.
Yeah, sometimes things have to end. Here's one of the picks. This next pick number 3, is one of the picks that we got the last minute. And I really like this song. It is, I'll tell you more about it when we get through it. This song is called All Is Yellow by Auto da Fe. So this song was. I love this song, by the way. Did you not like immediately find it catchy?
I'd never heard it, and then I got online when we got the suggestion and started listening to it. Like, this is a great song, a really fun song.
It's really fun. It's so unusual. This song was suggested by Noel O'Regan of Ireland. There's a more Irish name. I do not know what it could be.
We have 3 international listeners. Yes,
yes. So I had to Google it because I've never heard of Auto da Fe. And the first thing that comes up when you search for Auto da Fe is it's a ceremony for pronouncing judgment during the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, they burned people at the stake primarily.
Right. So this is a band that named themselves after people being burned at the stake, which is a little unusual.
Auto dichotomy here.
Yeah. Too much damn dichotomy. Auto da Fe, actually, an Irish new wave musical band formed in the Netherlands, which I don't know how that makes them Irish, but that it does. That's what Wikipedia says. They are my only source here for information because, like I said, completely out of the blue. For all I know, Noel O'Regan created this Wikipedia page just to fool us.
I put one over on those guys. Well, if that's true, Noel, that's a damn catchy song you wrote for yourself.
Yes, it's fantastic. Anyway, the band obviously used keyboards, electronics. They had a string of singles between 1982 and 1985. Some of the other ones you might remember or not. November, Bad Experience. And there's one called Man of Mine, which features Midge Ure on guitar. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Anyway, they have a live CD out there somewhere. The band itself, though, split up in 1986. So
yeah, the one sad thing about this song is not on Spotify, so I could not add it to the playlist.
Yeah,
so I'm going to have to make a YouTube version of this playlist too.
So yeah, YouTube is your only source of joy for this. But I like this song, and it's a good one. Obviously,
it's great, really fun.
It's a great pick for this set list. Pick number 4 of our 5-reader picks for this week. This one's the song is very obvious, but the person who suggested it is so. What's what I'm looking for here?
Kind of contrary
Unexpected.
To form.
Yes, it's so anti what we know of him.
It's so running towards danger.
It is. Pick number 4 by Asia, Heat of the Moment.
And now you find yourself in 82. The disco hotspot's hold no charm for you. You can't concern yourself with bigger things. You catch a pull like the dragon's wings. 'Cause it's the heat of the moment. Heat of the moment. The heat of the moment. Showed in your eyes.
Obvious pick, yes, but who, Brad, suggested
When you
it?
ask yourself who would be the least likely person to suggest an Asia song, who is the first person that comes to mind?
Well, aside from any female. Let's make that clear.
Right. Male. Okay, yes. Well, this was suggested by Dr. Dim.
Wow.
Yeah, scrape yourself up off the floor to 80s Nation. It's true. He writes, "It says summer to me because I can recall a summer spent cruising around St. Paul in my friend's mom's Chevy Laguna, listening to that song as loud as possible. See? I can appreciate some popular stuff. Some. Let's not get carried away." This song was omnipresent that year. It was on Video Jukebox on HBO. It was on the radio. I had the cassette, just nonstop with those, was it 16 panes that it kind of would span through the video?
I saw them on there when they did the first reunion tour back sometime like 10 years ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
They formed the original 4 guys, reunited, and they went out and they played their debut album, every song, and then they played other than that they played like a few hits from their other records. But and of course we just lost John Wetton recently. I know they're touring right now with Journey. Asia is.
Oh.
And someone has stepped in to take John Wetton's role in the band, and I think that was going to happen anyway because it wasn't a surprise. I mean, John was sick.
He was having health problems,
and he had said that his doctor had said, you can't tour, at least not right away, and so from what I understand, there, the tributes continue to pour in for him, and rightfully so. They weren't everybody's cup of tea, but you can't deny how many great songs come off the first Asia album.
Yeah, and so much rhyming in the lyrics. Always rhyming.
Yeah. But also, I mean, John Wetton's like personal hell that from his private life is represented in so many of his songs, and you definitely hear it in this one as well. And if you go through his whole discography, you will pretty much hear the lament and torment of a guy who's really been dragged through the
and this song has, there's the acoustic version that they do of this, that it's a completely different song.
Yeah.
You get a completely different read on it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a serious downer song when you hear that version of it, which I really like.
I I think we were too young at the time to kind of. We just thought it was a great song.
It's a catchy song, yeah.
The message behind the lyrics never really occurs to you when you're 12 years old or whatever.
The drummer, man, he's really wailing.
This is a song about pain, man. Anyway,
yeah, exactly.
We will be saved by the obscureness, but also the unqualified greatness of our final pick from our listeners. This is Still in Hollywood by Concrete Blonde.
I was walking down the street early this morning, the graveyard voices calling to me. I was walking down the street early this morning, and the silver drops of rain hung from the trees, and I swear I heard the voices singing to me, singing to the rhythm of a beat of a feet, and I swear I heard the voices singing to me. Keep on, keep on, keep on. I'm still in Hollywood. Oh, I thought I'd be out of here by now. Still in Hollywood. My mind running on a wheel, and I don't know why. I don't know why.
Our good friend Tor Hansen.
Oh my gosh.
Tor is the greatest, by the way.
I think we're going to name him the official poet of the Stuck in the 80s podcast, because this letter was poetry.
Read the letter.
So Tor writes, "This memory is not particularly idyllic. I had an uncle, big drug problem. He scraped by on the streets of Hollywood for years until my grandma dragged him back home to get clean in the mid-'80s. In an effort to welcome Uncle G back into the fold, my parents thought it would be good sport to let the man take his 13-year-old nephew, a.k.a. me, who was visiting on summer break from Northern California, downtown to tour his former haunts of ignominy." Insert WTF reaction here.
Yeah.
During our tour of downtown Hollywood, we dined with a pimp at Okie Dog, turned down smack at least once, and met a petite but grizzled 65-year-old woman named Pepper, who stood under 5 feet tall and had one eye. Pepper paints a picture, doesn't he? Pepper wore tight, low-slung jeans paired with a backless pink halter, and she thought nothing of chasing a putrescent giant off our bus for sitting too close to young girls with his hands in his pockets. My uncle and I hung with Pepper for a good long bus ride. We shared some blackjack gum, and she informed me that she was the mayor of Hollywood. I think it was an unofficial title. Anyway, when I heard Still in Hollywood a couple years later with the line, "On the bus today I met the Queen of L.A.," I thought of Pepper and my first trip into the other side of Tinseltown. The song still evokes all of that eye-opening day pretty strongly, and it also makes me think about my mom and dad and realize I might not follow their parenting guidebook quite as closely as I thought.
Wow, Tor. That is amazing.
What a great story. And it's a great song. Again, it's just a really great driving beat, and it's just gritty. And if you've ever been in L.A., not in front of Grumman's Chinese, but like 4 blocks off of it in the middle of the summer, and it's just hot, and yeah, that's L.A. right there. This song is about that part of L.A.
I was there in Hollywood. What was it, about 5 years ago? That I came out there for a show at the Hollywood Bowl, and you hosted us.
It's a little bit more than that, but yeah.
And I remember going in front of the Chinese theater and thinking, this is not Hollywood. And I remember thinking, this is the most uncomfortable place I've ever been. Because it's all the
weird
skeezy
vibe,
people, all the skeezy people wearing all the costumes and trying to get your photo taken with them, and you have to give them some money. I just wanted to get the hell out of there when I was...
Yeah. The last time I was down there, believe it or not, I had a meeting in a building across the street, and we were coming in from the parking garage, and what should I see but Spider-Man changing out of his skivvies in the alley by the dumpster. Like, that's Hollywood right there. There it all is in one little postcard.
That is nasty. Tor was great on the last cruise, by the way. I didn't really stay. I mean, me, I kind of go to bed like around 1 o'clock every night on the cruise. Yeah. But there was one night that I was hanging out with Tor and his friends, and we stayed awake till I think 4. And we shut down the disco, and then we went looking for food, and there was no food at 4 in the morning. Like the kitchen had just shut down.
Yeah, the kitchen was closed.
And we were like just dying. No. Like we needed some I
need a club sandwich.
Yes, like in the worst way. And I thought about I go back to my room, but damn well room service is going to take forever.
It's going to take 2 hours.
Yeah. Might as well order breakfast while I'm at it. And so I just remember going to sleep that night, just going, just let me wake up the next morning. Because when you hang out with Tor, man, you better be ready to have some fun. It was
better bring it.
It was great. Anyway, we also had some other honorable mentions. Brad, what were some of the honorable mentions that we got?
Yeah, I pulled some out, songs that I really like. Panama by Van Halen, I think, is just an ultimate summer song, just a great cruising car song. Freaks Come Out at Night, because honestly, that's when, when you're a teenager, you're a kid, nighttime was about nighttime for me, like hanging out with my friends.
Hard to Say I'm Sorry. That's a good pick because it's also from the movie Summer Lovers.
That's true. That's why I put that on the honorable mentions list for you.
I have that DVD. You know what? I may have given it to a friend at work, and then that person was fired like the next week.
Well, you're never going to see that again.
I'm never going to see that CD again.
Yeah. So we'll republish the link to this playlist. A lot of people sent in songs. I will say that if you're an overachiever and sent in 12 songs, we'll probably just picked a couple. But it's growing. If you have picks, send them in, and we'll just keep adding to it.
Yeah, if we get 5 or 6 more great ones, maybe we'll do a part 3 of this series because I really enjoy it. In the meantime, there's something else I'd really like to enjoy. This is the worst segue ever. The seggies. The mystical refrain that is Name That 80s Tune. We would do a reader mailbag, but the whole show has basically been a reader mailbag, so we'll just skip right ahead.
It's so meta.
It is. As always, you know the drill here. We played a snippet of a song from the 80s. If you can get it right, you're entered into the drawing for some swag, which at this point in time is mainly just bottle openers. I have found, in the midst of all my unpacking here at the new lair, I have found the trucker hats, or I did at one point have them. I'm looking around right now, and I don't see them as I sit here in my opulent office. But I will find them, and I will send them. So don't worry about it. Anyway, Jen with one N picked this week's song, which is why it's a little different than what we normally pick. But that's a good thing, as we've learned. Pay attention. Here is the mystery song. That's Mercedes Boy by Pebbles.
You wanna ride my Mercedes, boy? Tell me what you gonna do with me. 'Cause if you wanna ride my Mercedes, boy, there are so many things that I'm gonna do to you.
I thought maybe that came out of your collection.
No. This was like late 80s, wasn't it? Was it not?
Yeah.
Nah, not my thing. Late 80s I had checked out. I don't know what I was listening to.
Probably you were already wistful for the early 80s.
I was listening to like
Don Henley,
Hoodoo Gurus, Husker Du, stuff like
Love
that. Captain Beefheart, weird, just random, crazy stuff. So, anyway, we didn't have a lot of people who got it right. Brad, you can probably get this with half a breath.
Oh well, let's see what we got here. Today's winners include Michael in St. John's, Kevin Pipe Wench, Marie in Bradenton, Joseph Purdue, and Brock in North Dakota.
Pay attention. Here's this week's mystery tune. If you know it, email us at podcast@sit80s.com and tune in next week to find out if you're a winner.
What's happening, hot stuff?
By the sound of the gong, it must be time for Mystery Movie Moment. We'll play a snippet of a movie from the 80s. If you get it right, again, you're entered into the drawing for some fun stuff. Pay attention. Here was the clip from the last show.
Fellas, the frog's ass watertight.
Yep, that's Gung Ho, which doesn't get nearly enough love on the show as it should.
That's true.
It's never on TV. You never, ever see it. And you also forget that they turned it into a TV show that didn't last very long afterwards either.
They did?
Yep. So there you go.
I guess, you got a factory setting. All kinds of hijinks could happen every week.
Sure. Yeah,
you could learn a valuable lesson about yourself in 30 minutes.
We ought to probably do a whole podcast on movies that were turned into TV shows that we never remembered from the 80s.
That's a really good idea. Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Weird Science,
Parker
the
Lewis
TV
did
show.
Ferris Bueller better.
I know Animal House was turned into Delta House on TV,
That's
but
right.
that might not have made it into the 80s.
We just watched that last night. Cameron and I watched that.
Did you really?
Yeah, it's the first time he's ever seen it. He was laughing his head off. How
do you handle it when the whole nudity thing happens?
It's just him and me this weekend, so it just rolls.
Okay. I'm always curious, you can always call me and ask me how I would deal with these situations.
You know what? I may start doing that.
Anyway, read the
winners. Should I send him more beer money, or should I just send it for pizza and hot tubbing? Winners this week include Eric, the 16-bit kid Berube in St. Thomas, Ontario. Ron Raymond, the main benevolent 80s overlord. Dave Parrott, Jonathan Bowering, Dave Augie August, Tom Korn in Austria, Shazam in St. Louis, Tim and Toadsuck, DJ in Clinton, Canuck and Callie, Todd Pletz, Alan Titus, and Mal McNeil from Northern Ireland.
Oh, wow, that's a new one.
Yeah, actually, I had a really interesting email exchange with Mal. He... Katie and I, when we worked together, we did a project in North Ireland, and he was actually familiar with the installation we did. He's like, oh, yeah, we used to go to see that all the time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Small world.
Nice guy.
And, let's go ahead and spin the Wheel of Destiny and find out who wins something this week.
Oh, let me get oiled up here. Okay, you ready?
Yep. Nothing brings me as much joy as that particular moment in every podcast for some reason. It's going to land on... It's going to land on... Alan Titus, you are this week's lucky winner.
Woohoo!
Send us your snail mail address, and we will get some fun going your way. In the meantime, pay attention. Here's this week's mystery clip.
You're a heterosexual.
And a damn good one.
If you know it, email us at podcast@sit80s.com and tune in next week to find out if you're a winner. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Get your skis shined up, grab a stick of juicy fruit. The taste is gonna move ya. Take a sniff, pull it out. The taste is gonna move you when you pop it in your mouth. Juicy fruit is gonna move ya. It chews the salt, it gets right to ya. Juicy fruit, the taste is gonna move ya.
And we're back. We have just a few minutes left. I thought it's time to play a tradition we have here called What's Your 80s Obsession? Brad, what is your 80s obsession this week?
Oh, my 80s obsession this week came up when I was driving around in the car with my son, and the Mr. song KYRIE came on, which my friends and I always used to sing as "Carry a laser down the road that I must travel." Mainly because we thought it was funny. I mean, every time I make that joke, one of my friends is like, "You realize that's Latin and that's a church thing." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I'm just having a good time with this." But I love that kind of stuff. I love the when people mishear lyrics. There was a phone commercial a couple years ago that had "Rock the Casbah," and the guys were singing it "Rock the Cat Box." Do you remember?
Yeah,
that?
Yeah.
Sheep don't like it. Oh, yeah, rock the cat box. So I just, that stuff just cracks me up. I love that stuff. So if you have any, send them to me, and we'll talk about them in a future episode.
We could do a whole show on misheard 80s lyrics, starting right with Billy Squiire and "Long Live Skunk Man."
Skunk.
Made a whole lot more sense to me than "Stroke Me did when I was 11 years old.
Well, give it a couple of years, you had it all figured out, I'm sure. So, Steve, what's your 80s obsession?
This is so weird. I have no reason for this, but Thomas Dolby has been on my mind a lot this week. He's going to be on the 80s cruise next year, and Kevin Wench, who does the Lost and Found in the 80s blog items for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He did a whole week where he basically was either a Thomas Dolby song or a song that Thomas helped somebody else.
He wrote a lot for other people.
He did.
Yeah.
He was fantastic. And he served as he was the keyboard player on 404 and stuff like that. And
yeah,
he's been around and done a lot of amazing things. He's far more interesting life than any of us will ever lead. I was listening to his music like all week long. And I think I kept sending you links. Like I sent you a link to...
Oh, yeah. I think I put Europa and the Pirate
Suitcase.
Twins on the playlist. And and that song, what was it?
I Live in a Suitcase.
Such a good song.
Specifically the version of it that's from his Soul Inhabitant tour, which I saw back...
Was that when you interviewed him?
Yeah. And it was like early in Stuck in the 80s history. I think maybe the first couple years. And like, I'm not the greatest interviewer, period. And in the early days, I was even worse. But I did specifically ask him about that song, and he talked about how he was on... Where's the observatory in L.A.? Is it on a hill, like a mountain or something?
Yeah, it's up Griffith Park. Yeah.
Griffith Park. So he was there one night visiting or whatever, and there was a power outage in L.A. or something like that. So he sat on the hill or sat outside the observatory and just looked out over the city and, pretty much shrouded in darkness for a change. And he had just moved to L.A., I think. And the lyrics to this song came to him at that moment, and he wrote it. It's a hauntingly brilliant song. I don't even know if those words belong together, but there's hard otherwise to describe the song. I hope he plays it on the cruise. I really hope he does. For whatever reason lately, I've also been like, I changed the promo for the cruise on our Twitter feed to like it shows him every time instead of Rick Springfield. So I'm kind of really, I don't know why. I'm in a Dolby state of mind.
Have you read his book that was out maybe in the last year?
I think I want to.
I think you enjoy it. It's good. You know what? I have one other 80s obsession to mention to 80s Nation, and that's Steve Spears is my 80s obsession.
No. I'm nobody's obsession these days.
No, well, Steve sent me a really very thoughtful birthday gift that I got yesterday. He got Martha Quinn to sign a copy of the VJ book and sent it to me. And I was really touched. I just got it yesterday, Steve. So thank you very much for that.
I didn't know you got it already. That's great.
It just arrived. Very thoughtful.
Sorry,
what a guy.
Sorry, it's so late.
No, not at all.
What did she write? What did she write?
She wrote, here, let me see if I can find it. She wrote, B-Rad. Well, first there's a card that says, Happy Birthday, Brad. And then there's 2 B-Rad. Always remember you are far superior to... No. Always remember, ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll. Feel the need for speed, and don't you forget about me. Your friend and all that is awesome, Martha Quinn.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah. Very sweet. Very thoughtful.
Oh, that's cool. Well, good. I'm glad you got it. Happy birthday a few weeks late.
I'll take it. Just glad to be here. Hope I can help the team.
That's all we have time for this week. Don't forget to show some love for one of our sponsors, HelloFresh. If you go to their website, you get $30 off your first order if you use the promo code Radical30. I get it 3 times a week. I love it. It's fantastic. It's more vegetables than I've ever had in my life, which is probably a good thing at my age.
Oh, your mood is improving with the vegetables.
I know. A lot of people have said that. They're like, you're in a better place these days. I'm like, it's the vegetables. I'm telling you.
Gastrointestinal health. It's a good thing.
Turns out that pan pizza is not the way to get through life. The 80s Cruise and 80s in the Sand, we're doing the trivia challenges for both those in the next year. So reach out to us at podcast@sit80s.com for information about our promo codes that can save you hundreds, if not thousands, on those. And in the meantime, my 50-year-old friend, Brad Williams, our awesome, cool as hell friend, Martha Quinn, and the rest of us, we remain here, hopelessly stuck in the 80s.
Stuck in the 80s is a member of the CLNS Media Network. Special thanks to Check Battery Daily for our theme music. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or the CLNS Media mobile app.